right, so we promised a little bit of racing talk. I'm a man of my word. We took a little while to get to it, but we do have, this is kind of the last big weekend before Saratoga comes up. We got the Stephen. Actually, no, that's not true because don't we have the Belmont turf races the weekend after? Yeah, so we actually have some good action the next 2 weekends. But this weekend we have the Stephen Foster card on Saturday at Churchill. This is closing weekend at Churchill Downs, runs through July 4th, which is Monday. And then we also have the John Nehru and a couple stakes at Belmont. That's interesting because it's going to be a matchup of Life is Good against Speaker's Corner, which is, other than Flightline, I think those are the 2 best one-turn horses in America right now. So it's going to be interesting to see those 2 clash. And we have a good field in the Stephen Foster. It's honestly a pretty star-studded field now. It's no longer a grade 1. It used to be a grade 1 for a long time. It's a grade 2 now. We've got Olympiad, who's my boy, obviously, facing off with Mandaloun, and American Revolution is supposed to be in there as well, who I think we haven't seen since last year, but he was an up-and-coming, very, very nice horse for Todd Pletcher and Windstar. So that's what I'm looking forward to. We got the Stephen Foster card and the John Nehru. But also one of the subplots of this weekend is they were supposed to have turf racing for this weekend at Churchill Downs. If you know that Churchill has had problems with this turf course. It's an all-new turf course for this year, and they've had issues where they haven't been able to run on it for the last couple of weeks. They were supposed to be able to run on it for this weekend. They had the grade 2 Wise Dan scheduled for the turf. That race has been canceled, and the other turf stakes for the weekend are going to have been moved to the main track. So that's an ongoing subplot, whether or not this Churchill Downs turf course is ever going to be ready. That to me is something to watch, I think, for the fall meet. I assume it's going to be ready by then. But they spent a lot of money on this turf course. And if they don't get it right by then, you might have to rip the whole thing up. That's my thoughts. What are you guys looking forward to this weekend?
I mean, Life is Good. And Joe, we forget after he just thrashed Nick's Go in the Pegasus, we were talking about him like we kind of talk about Flightline now. Now, he stubbed his toe since then, running 4th in the Dubai World Cup. Maybe the trip over there got to him. Maybe the 1.25 miles was a little bit beyond his range. But, if he comes back, beats Speaker's Corner, and looks like the Life is Good that, was just sensational in that race back in January at Gulfstream. By the way, here we go again. It's July and he's making his 3rd start of the year. And in what is by modern standards pretty full campaign actually. That's what I'm looking forward to. And you're not going to have him go against a bunch of tomato cans because you do have Speaker's Corner in there. So, he's going to be tested. I'm really looking forward to see what he does. I guess the Whitney would be next, but this is going to be, a race to see where he comes back. It's a shame with the Churchill turf course, but they had to take the Wise Dan. They couldn't move it to the dirt because then it's the same race as the Stephen Foster. Right. They have the exact same races being run. So they did take the other turf races and move them to the dirt, but you can see why they weren't able to run the Wise Dan.
But what would you consider your definition of a tomato can would be in a race like this?
No, a not very good horse. What kind of question?
It's called a leading question. It's a leading question. Okay, and it's because there's 3 other horses that are proposed to be in the race. One was a $40,000 claimer. One's a 2 other than, and one's a horse that Uriah St. Louis, God bless him, is bringing in because he always has a horse running in these races because he actually does, fill the 4th or 5th spot in the majority of the races. And every now and then he does jump up and win one. So I would say that the majority of horses in the Nehru are tomato cans in accordance with what you were saying. But the match race is really, if you take those out, it's Speaker's Corner against Life is Good, which is awesome, which is going to be really
So
fun.
What you're telling me is they're not going to have an 11-horse field, huh, John?
They're not going to have an 11-horse field.
All graded stakes horses.
And the majority of them are going to be tomato cans, to use your term, which would be a great name for a horse if we hadn't just tainted it by saying how that really is bad. The Stephen Foster looks like it's going to be a great race. You guys have already gone through that. But lest we forget the baby races that are being run at Churchill Downs, not on the turf, obviously. But we have, the debutante stake with our horse Wonder Wheel. And most importantly, and we'll finish on this, we have Stay on Her Good Side. Yes, our favorite horse here, other than Writer's Room, Stay on Her Good Side will be running in the Bashful Manor. And I have it on very, very good information that superfan Skip Anderson is actually going to be flying in and making a debut and an appearance to represent us in those stake races. So Skip, wear your lucky underwear, because if you don't win one of these 2 races, you're never allowed to come back, buddy. But we look forward to seeing you there. And also Superfan Stephanie said that she was actually going to try to get there as well. So we're going to be well represented for the Bashful Manor. And hopefully we'll see their smiling faces in the winner's circle picture.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Skip hit me up and said that he would be there this weekend. Shout out to Skip and Steph. And yes, hopefully Skip is a good luck charm because I don't think he's going to be at Saratoga this summer because of this. So have fun, Skip, and best of luck to stay on our good side. And John mentioned her, and I don't want to wrap before we say that Writers Room, I thought, had an encouraging debut. I thought she dropped back early and she was lagging towards the back of the field. I don't know if we have the video that we can show of her flying down the track to have the most consequential electric fourth place finish in racing history. I don't think that's hyperbole, frankly. But no, she finished up well. She just missed second. She had a couple jumps away from getting up for second. She completed the super. She was fourth. Going to be interesting to see. I think she'll stretch out next. John was saying at Saratoga this summer. So hopefully, maybe there'll be a New York bred 2-turn Saratoga maiden special weight on the turf for when I'm there. Something in the condition.
July 16th. July 16th is going to be New York bred maiden special
weight race. I'll be there.
Going a mile and 16th on the turf, and that's where Writers Room is going to hopefully make her next race. So just like you mentioned, Joe, like our show together, like our chemistry together, it was clunky and a little nervousy and not that great in the beginning. But man, when we started getting it going, we came flying down the lane and looked like we're going to be a success. So Writers Room is basically embodying our relationship between the three of us over the past 2+ years.
Yeah, once we figured out how our legs worked, we really got cooking. Came home at 23.05, and I will be there that Saturday at Saratoga, July 16th. So yes, please, Linda, do not scratch. Please run the horse in that race. I know how you love to scratch, but yeah, I can't wait to see her, and it was really, really exciting seeing her on Saturday. So thanks to everybody who sent good wishes and good luck and all that stuff. And we're looking forward to staying on our good side on Monday. Maybe if he wins the race, John will learn that the name of the race is the Bashford Manor.
What did I call it?
Big Bashful Manor for weeks now. We haven't corrected him.
I'm sorry. That makes more sense. That makes more sense.
So when we send you the trophy when Stay on Our Good Side wins, I don't want you to be surprised.
Yes.
That's what the stake's name is.
I would send it back. I'd be like, no, it's the Bashful Manor. Obviously.
It's the Bashful Manor trophy?
Yes. It's where all the seven dwarfs live, in the Bashful Manor, right? It's Sleepy and Dopey and Doc and Bashful, and that makes much more sense. I'm sorry, I've been slandering the Bashford Manor for months and months and months, and I appreciate either you guys didn't want to correct me or didn't even care, didn't even listen to me at this point.
Just let you cook, man.
Exactly. A little known secret that when Joe Bianca actually watches the podcast, he actually fast forwards to only when he actually is talking. He doesn't listen to what what Bill and I say, and I don't blame him. I can't argue with that, but that's a little known fact.
I mean, I have to hear you once, John. Why would I go back and have to hear you twice the same day? Come on. I'm only human.